BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online. The game starts here.
So the Dodgers wrap up a weekend series in St. Louis with a series victory. I thought it was a good weekend in St. Louis. Carlos, what did you think about this weekend series in St. Louis? And the Dodgers end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals.
Yeah, so we finished the road trip on a winning note. So we go 4-3 on the road trip, which was great. What we definitely learned from this weekend series in St. Louis was that Kopech is our closer. I don't know if Robert's going to make it official, but based on the 2 games that we pulled, that we won, Kopech got saves on both those games, and I think one got on an error, and he retired both the sides on both games. So Kopech's our closer. And the other thing I learned was I was wrong about Kershaw. Kershaw still has something in the tank. I take it back about Kershaw. I think that, the way he's pitching, maybe because the league is so used to fast pitchers now, that Kershaw's, curveball, his slider, it's playing. It's playing in the MLB, and it's playing against other teams. So, yeah, Kershaw is definitely like I said, I take it back. I think he'll be on the MLB on the playoff roster, and I think he'll definitely start game 3 or 4 after like Glasnow and Flaherty.
Yeah, so we'll get into the whole Kershaw thing and the Kopech thing, but yeah, I mean, Dodgers go to St. Louis, they win 2 out of 3. I mean, I think definitely that's what you wanted to take away from there after coming out of Milwaukee, right? They got that split in Milwaukee, which we were kind of talking about. I mean, a split is fine, but taking kind of that series, you won the first 2 games, and then you end up losing the next 2. You kind of felt like, yeah, they're gonna get 3 in that series, right? And end up splitting. So it's kind of like, right? You weren't really happy about that. But going into St. Louis, which I thought definitely they need to win that series. They needed to win today to get that series win. And like you mentioned, Kershaw goes out there, he gives him 6 scoreless. I think it was like 4 hits. I mean, it's Kershaw. It's who we expect Kershaw his entire career. Yes, Kershaw isn't that guy that, in the early 2010s, right? Racking up the Cy Youngs and the MVP. He isn't that guy, right? But he's been consistent his entire career. I mean, his ERA is still in like mid 2.5 or something like that, right? This season. And I mean, he just goes out there, yes, he had a bad start against the Padres, but it's going to happen, right? Every pitcher is going to have a bad start somewhere, right? Or a couple bad starts. And I'm not saying that Kershaw is going to be lights out the rest of the way. Yeah, he might hit another bump in the road and have a bad game. But that's, like I said, it's going to happen. But for the most part, you're probably going to get a guy like today of Kershaw, right? He might give up 1 or 2 runs, couple of hits, and that's kind of who Clayton Kershaw is, and somebody that I think the Dodgers can trust for the rest of this season, right, going forward. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the postseason rotation, but as far as they can get this type of Kershaw, give him 5 and 6 innings, I think it's definitely going to help the team, and it's going to help the bullpen.
Yeah, no, definitely. Kershaw, he's not the guy who's going to strike out 9 to 10, but that's okay. He's a pitcher's pitcher, and he's pitching. I think it was at one point in the game, I was listening to the game, and they were saying that he had 9 outs through ground balls. So he's keeping the ball down. They can't get the ball up in the air, which is great. He's not allowing any home runs. Yeah, like you said, he 6 innings, allowed 4 hits, only 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Hey, 6 innings is what we need. It'll help use the bullpen less, and that's what we're looking for. On the offensive side, the guys that, early on in the season that everybody was bashing on, Lux. I mean, Lux is on fire. I mean, he's consistently on this series. He was 5 for 13. and and he's doing a good job. I think he had like the 2 doubles to start the game today. Another guy who's playing well is Miguel Rojas. He's probably hitting his best he's ever done in his career. He was 6 for 10 in the series, and he had that clutch 2-out single to score the second run, which ended up being the winning run. So overall, the Dodgers, I mean, when we were the last live we had on Thursday, we were talking about how coming into St. Louis notoriously, historically plays the Dodgers well, and taking 2 out of 3 of the series was a great achievement for the Dodgers. So we come back home. It's a happy flight home. Come and play the Mariners tomorrow. So those are all positives. And I know that we're going to talk about who's coming off the IL tomorrow, which will be really interesting. And I'll be at the stadium, so I can't wait to see Edman play for the first time in Dodger blue.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, they did lose the middle game. That's the Bobby Miller game. So Bobby Miller got caught up because Tyler Glasnow, he went on the IL. What they're saying is tendonitis in his elbow. So we don't know the severity of it. I mean, it seemed like he even spoke yesterday. He wanted to pitch. He was kind of begging Dave Roberts to let him stay in the rotation, not go on the IL. So it doesn't seem it's all that serious. And his time on his 2 weeks on the IL, and he'll be back. But we never know, right? We never know what's going to happen. But you don't want to see a guy just end up on the IL again for whatever reason. But he's on the IL, so we'll see how that plays out. But Bobby Miller comes up again. He starts off the game. I mean, he's throwing gas. He's up like 98, 99. Towards the end of the game, that dropped back down. The velocity dropped. He ends up 4 runs, right? Over, so like 4 innings, right?
Yeah, he's pitched 4 2/3, four runs.
Innings. So 4 runs over 4 innings. Not the greatest start for Bobby Miller, but what were your takeaways from that start? Do you see anything positive from that start going forward with Bobby Miller, or what do you think is going to happen with Bobby Miller?
I mean, the speed is there. Once again, on the telecast, they were talking about how he I don't know if it was his off speed wasn't working. Something wasn't working, and he was relying so much on his fastball. And the first home run they hit was the guy was like, okay, well, this guy, I'm just sitting on fastball because he came and throw the other pitches for a strike. So, his speed is there. I mean, he's got to work a secondary, a third pitch in his repertoire, because he's become very predictable. Like you were saying, he allowed 4 runs, but allowed 8 hits in less than 5 innings. So that's a lot. The home run ball, and if they're solo shots, I guess we can deal with that. But when they're 2-3 run home runs, it's going to hurt. And I was, the fact that he allowed a lot of hits, that's concerning. But I did like his speed. I think he'll get another start. I don't think he'll be sent down, especially with, like you just mentioned, Glasnow being going on the IL again. I think tendonitis, hopefully it's not too severe, but I think he should get some rest. Get him ready for the playoffs. Maybe we give him like I think is he in a 10 or a 15-day IL?
It'd be 15.
Okay, so that's 2 weeks. I think that's good rest for him. He'll be back at the beginning of September. And, hopefully in that duration of time, Bobby Miller can come in and give some quality starts. Get some 6-inning starts. I mean, like I said, like we just mentioned, Kershaw did that. Man, Kershaw's the veteran on the team, the oldest guy there, and he gave up. He pitched 6 innings, shutout innings, and that's great. I definitely like Miller over Buehler. I don't. Buehler pitched which day? He didn't pitch. That's Robleski. Robleski pitched on Friday, and he got his first win on Friday, and then he got sent down, right? And Grove got sent down so they can bring Brazier. Brazier looked good too. So, I mean, at this point right now, rest is important. Getting these guys in rhythm too is important. Like we were talking earlier, I think we were messaging about Hudson. Hudson, yet again, comes into the game and allows another home run, making the game 2-1. And so, I mean, maybe he's tired. Didn't we talk about? Did they mention that Kopech was tired too? Did they mention that I think Robert said something like that? So
Yeah,
I mean,
he had pitched today was his fourth day out of five games, so probably a little tired.
yeah. So then we need some sort of like game where we're blowing somebody out, because we need a game like that where we can just use somebody to eat up some innings, and if they allow some runs, then it's okay because we have a big lead. So we need something like that in this next homestand starting tomorrow with the Mariners and then the Rays and then the Orioles. So we but I feel like the offense had picked it up in Milwaukee. They did okay on Friday. It kind of slowed down Saturday and Sunday, but you know what? Sonny Gray historically has, from what I remember last year when he was with I think the Reds, he's pitched well against the Dodgers. So, we still beat them. It was a pitcher's duel today, and it's Sunday. Sunday games tend to always seem that way, where it's very low scoring, everybody's kind of lethargic and stuff. But we got the series wins, which is important.
Yeah, and then with Bobby Miller, yeah, they were saying, his secondary pitches are kind of, there's nothing there, and I think they're waiting like on his fastball, and that's what they were hitting, and they ended up hitting the home runs on that. So I mean, I don't know, what they're going to do with Bobby Miller, but they need him right now, right? They need him in that rotation if guys are out or waiting for them to come back. So, and we had tossed around this idea. I mean, what if they put Bobby Miller in the pen, right? One inning, just kind of go give it all you got, right? If he's throwing 99, right, 98, that one inning,
yeah,
could be something to look at, especially like if you're going to have, Kopech now, we'll get into Kopech closing out games. You got, Bobby Miller maybe in the eighth inning as well, throwing a lot of gas, a lot of heat. And I think with Kopech, that's something that, he goes out there and it's a pretty quick inning usually, right? If he's going to be on, it's going to be a quick inning. He's going to go out there, he strike out a couple guys. Today, he got that double play. There was an error before that and ended the game, right? It was a 1-run game. The tying run was on first, and then Arenado hits into that double play to end the game. So, but Kopech, he's exciting. Like we mentioned, he goes out there, he throws upwards of 100. He gets those strikeouts. What did you think, of him now closing out these, the 2 wins in St. Louis?
I mean, I think we have an exciting closer now again. I feel like we missed the days of like Eric Gagne when you knew he was going to come in and shut it down, and even Kenley Jensen when he was in his like more of his prime, and we were pretty certain like, okay, he's going to come in, he's going to shut it down, we got a guaranteed win, and so I get this kind of feeling with Kopech. When the Kopech was on Friday, I was excited to, it's kind of like, because I know that we had spoken about this and we all kind of wish that, hey, Roberts, Kopech is the closer, use him, and so when he came in on Friday, I was like, okay, come on, fingers crossed, let's get a nice clean inning so that he can show that that he can close, and he did, and they brought him in again. Roberts trusted him again on today's game, and he closed it again. Yeah, just like you said, it was 12 pitches today. So, yeah, I understand he's been used. What you said, four times in the last 5 games. That is a lot, and he needs some rest, and we don't want to burn him out either before we get to the playoffs, because if he's going to be our true closer, we need him. So if he needs a couple of days off, give him the next 2 days off, or and maybe Wednesday or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm excited that he's the closer. I feel like it's been a while. It's been a long time coming to have some guy come in throwing 99, 100, and just striking these guys down, striking batters out.
Yeah, and it seems like, he hasn't been, officially named the closer. I think Robert still said we're still kind of looking at it. But, the way, if you look at the progression that, once he's coming, I think he started like with the 7th a couple of times. Then he went to the 8th. And then in Milwaukee, though, he went in the 6th. But I think they brought him in specifically. That's the game that they ended up losing as well. But I think they brought him in the 6th because he was getting the kind of the heart of that Milwaukee Brewer lineup. So they wanted to use him in that situation. But yeah, I mean, if you look at his progression, they've kind of like, okay, putting him out there now, and then they got him into the 9th inning. But yeah, I mean, he's looked good. And, like you said, you just don't want to tire him out, right? Tire him out where he's pitching like every day, and then, especially going now, we're going to be getting into September, and then obviously in October. But I like him as a closer. Like I said, I think he goes out there, he's all business. He strikes guys out, and kind of he has that closer mentality
Yep.
that just when you see this guy out there on the mound, this guy's all business and he's out to get those final outs of the ball game. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully, tomorrow night's game and this Mariners, if the Dodgers, hopefully they can, have a comfortable lead in the ninth, right, where they don't have to call on Kopech.
Right.
Give them a couple days. But yeah, I like it. I like the move for Kopech as closer.
Yeah, because it's it's really important that we win these one-run games, because in the playoffs, that's what we're going to have. I mean, I don't think there's going to be tons of blowouts. There might be one here and there, but most of the games are going to be down to like a one-run game, two-run game, and the game's on the line, and you need someone to shut it down. And Kopech right now, from what we've seen, he's the guy. I mean, what's his? I think last time we checked, it was like he's probably like pitched 9 innings. I think he's allowed 1 hit and like 12 or 13 strikeouts. So he's literally become the best pick of the trade deadline. He's become best reliever for the Dodgers right now. And they just want to make a comment on what you said about how in the Brewers game he was brought in the 6th. And I know that Roberts has said this before. I use my high leverage guys. I don't care what inning it is. If the top of the lineup is coming up, that's when I use them. You know what? I think on the live before, I don't like that philosophy. The game, it's the 6th inning. If they score, then we need to score as well and get the game. If we give up 2, we got to come back and get 2. The closer has to close, not bring him in the 6th or the 7th or the 8th. He should be the 9th guy all the time, no matter who's batting, and that's his role. And then we got to find somebody else for the setup guy and the long relief. We got to start to the Dodgers and got to start like assigning those to certain pitchers. If Phillips has looked good lately since he's kind of, I don't want to say demoted, but since he's been taken away from the closer role. So he's looked good. So he looks like he could be an 8th inning guy. We expect Trinan to back, I think, sometime next week. And then I don't know about Gratterall, but Joe Kelly kind of up and down a little bit. But so yeah, definitely we got to start defining these relief pitchers, their roles and what they're gonna do for the playoffs.
Yeah, you mentioned these high leverage situations. I think Roberts has used guys like Phillips prior to when he was closing. I think he was kind of his high leverage guy. He'd bring him in. He was 5th, 6th, whenever he needed. And one guy also Trinan is the guy that he's used in that situation. So I think once Trinan comes back, I think you can put him in that situation. So like if you would have had Trinan in Milwaukee, Trinan could have went in that 6th, and then you would have had Kopech to close out the game. But yeah, like you said, if he's a closer, that's it. He gets the last inning, and then you kind of just work your way down from that. Whether it's Evan Phillips in the 8th, Trinan in the 7th, maybe Joe Kelly in the 6th, something like that, where these guys kind of know, okay, this is where is my time, right? Daniel Hudson's been one of their best relievers all season, but lately the last couple of games they've been getting to him. So we don't know, like you mentioned, is he just tired? Is he one of those guys that, because they've mentioned there's a lot of guys in that bullpen who have a lot of ailments right now, but they're still pitching. So I don't know if Hudson will be one of those guys that can he can use the little IL break right now and to kind of just rest up and get ready now for the final push. But yeah, like you mentioned, Phillips has been pitching a lot better. Joe Kelly, he had 1 inning in St. Louis. It was a good inning. I think he just walked the guy. So that's kind of what they need, and give them, we've said this many times, right? If the starting pitchers can get into the 6th, 7th inning, it's going to benefit that bullpen. When these guys are coming out in the 5th inning and, they have to carry 4 innings of that game, that's, I think, when they're really going to be in trouble. So hopefully the starters can start getting into those 6th inning and 7th inning to save on that bullpen.
No, definitely true. And, I think a lot of people thought that Kershaw was going to come out in the 7th because he had only he had pitched only like he was at 70 or something.
70, yeah.
Yeah. So surprisingly that he didn't come out in the 7th, but it worked out well. But you got to start. Roberts definitely has to start thinking of the bullpen and these guys' arms. And just if we keep using them 4 4+ innings every game, it's going to start taking a toll on these players. So if we can get a pitcher who's going to throw extra, and Kershaw, like I said, he was in the 70s. He could have got one more inning, and so I mean, I'm not concerned with the pitching right now. I think with Glass out on the IL, like I said, I hope it's not too serious. But overall, I mean, who do we have on Monday? Who's in the rotation Monday? It's Stone. So Stone's looked good in his last start. So, like I said, Flaherty's looked, I mean, besides the first inning against the Brewers, he was pretty solid through the rest of I think he pitched through 5, so the next 4 innings. So, I mean, those are 3 good pitchers right now that we have. So I think that can hold down the fort till hopefully Glasnow comes back in 2 weeks. And Yamamoto, that's still a big question mark. I mean, he's thrown bullpen, and from what I haven't heard anything negative that there's been any sort of setback from his bullpen session. So everything's looking good, and maybe he'll do a rehab start soon, and before we know it, he'll be in the starting rotation again, and he's going to be well rested because he's taken, from being on the IL, he's taken at least like a month off. So so pitching wise, I'm not concerned about it. I'm more concerned about individual pitchers here and there, like we just keep mentioning Hudson. I just think maybe he needs a break. That's it. I don't. He's still throwing. He's still throwing 95s, 96. He's pitching well. I think he's just tired. I mean, maybe location. He's missing location, and he's giving up a lot of home runs, and I think that has to do with a lot of with fatigue.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of shuffling, especially I think in that bullpen, right? I mean, I've seen some videos that Gradol's put up. I mean, it looks like his injury, it looked really bad, right? From what we saw, his reaction, but it looks like he's healing pretty good, and it looks like he can be back probably pretty soon. I'm thinking he's going to be back pretty soon. We just had Brazier come back, so he's back in the bullpen. He's pretty fresh. So there was some move. They called up Ben Kasperius, right? They didn't end up using him. He's kind of just there in case they needed him. I think it was more for like long relief. So,
right.
I mean, I don't know if we'll get to see him. Maybe they'll probably end up sending him down. They ended up DFAing Brent Honeywell, who, for the most part, pitched pretty good. I know, he got hit a little bit more, but I think he was giving them multiple innings as well. So it was going 2-3 innings.
He had a 2.28 ERA. So, I mean, the numbers show that he actually pitched well. So it was surprising. When I messaged you earlier, it was surprising to see that he actually got DFA'd. I was shocked, but I understand that today's game, they need, just in case Kershaw couldn't go. I think it almost, they were kind of foreshadowing to see that they thought maybe Kershaw wasn't going to go 6 today. And that's the reason they bought the guy you were talking about, Ben. But Kershaw did go to 6, there was no need for the guy, for the rookie here to pitch today because, it was a high leverage game and they had to win, like we were talking earlier, that they had to win the series. And this game was a must win, I thought, for the Dodgers. And so they brought in the main guys to pitch and close out this game. Yeah.
So, I don't know, I don't know if he'll stick around, longer than a couple of days to get him in there, or, they might move him back to AAA because starting tomorrow, the Dodgers have some decisions to make as far as the roster, right? Max Muncy will be back. Tommy Edman will be back. So those are 2 guys that you got to get on your 26-man roster. Plus, you got to add Max Muncy back he's on the 60-day out, so you got to put him back on your 40-man. So they need to DFA somebody right now from that 40-man. And then, obviously, they need the 2 roster spots. So one that we've thought was going to happen last week is Nick Ahmed, right, when Rosario got DFA'd. So I'm thinking that is one, right, and that clears the 40-man spot for Max and also a 26-man spot. I mean, I don't know if they would send back, the rookie pitcher Ben, right, clear a spot and be down a pitcher. They could do that, or they can send somebody else down. They can send an Andy Pajes down, or they can IL somebody, right? Freddie Freeman got injured over the weekend as well. Like a finger, he jammed his finger. and it's in his throwing hand. And they said today it was worse off today than it was yesterday. He couldn't really hold a bat. So you could IL Freeman as well. And I think Bassett tweeted out that, they can, when it's backdated and in the time, they could put him on the 10 days. So he'd only miss 7 games, so about another week. But do you want to go that route? Do you want to take Freddie Freeman out of your lineup again for another week? Or what are you thinking, Carlos? How do you create that extra spot for Tommy Edman?
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation, and if Freddie, if his finger's pretty bad, then give him some time off. Especially with what's happened with his family and stuff. Maybe the extra time, because he came back and he's done well since he came back. So maybe the extra time, it's not going to hurt him. Dodgers will be fine, I think, with Max Muncy back, and Max Muncy definitely needs to be in the starting rotation. I mean, the starting lineup every game, because he needs to get back into the rhythm. Same with Edman. If we selected Edman so that he could be our guy, then he's got to play. I think right now, like we said, Nick Ahmed, had a tough game today, and maybe he had a tough game because he knew that this might be his last game in Dodger Blue. So, I think he'll definitely be DFA tomorrow. Edman will come back. Muncy will come back. I think they'll Freeman and be IL. But at some point, Freddie's going to have to come back. And like we said before, Hayward to me is a guy in the outfield it's just he doesn't bring. I don't think he brings much to the team right now, unfortunately. Defensively, Kevin Kiermaier is a better player in the outfield. I mean, Hayward. So, like I said, defensively, he's better than Pages. Yeah, he plays right field. I mean, anyways. So back to hitting. I mean, Pages is actually hitting the ball. I mean, Kevin Kiermaier is actually hitting well. He's had this whole new life to with the Dodgers' help. He's doing well and he's hitting well. And now that Pages is in left field, I remember, I think it was yesterday's game. There was a nice running catch that he made over his shoulder in left field. So he's more of a corner outfielder. So, like I said, I think the player that should be, I don't know if they'll DFA him, but maybe give him some time in the IL, just take a break, should be Hayward. I just don't see Dodgers ever making those kind of moves. It's kind of a bold move, and typically they don't make those moves, especially, with the history they have with Hayward and the veteran player that he is. So I don't know. I guess my real thought says, okay, Pages is going down. I think it's unfair. I think he's hitting well. He's kind of broken out of his slump, but I think he's kind of like the easy move.
Okay, so I was trying to figure out this 40-man thing with the guys that are on the 60. So a guy that isn't on the 60 is River Ryan. So that's someone that they're going to put on the 60. So that clears a spot for either Muncy or Edman. And then if you DFA Nick Ahmed, that clears 2 spots, right? But like we're saying, you still need that 26-man roster spot. If you're thinking Pages goes down, I mean, and he could go down for, it'd be just a little over 2 weeks, right? Until September, then they can call him back up in the call-ups. So something like that. Like I was thinking, maybe they do. Maybe it is Freddie Freeman. They give him another week off. That kind of gets you closer to September now, and you don't really have to do that much moves there. But then, you're going to get into the territory also when Trinan's coming back. I'm assuming Gratterall is going to be back, so you're going to have to start moving some guys there as well. And when I was looking at the 60, at the 40-man, you have your guys on the 60, and I mentioned this to you yesterday. A name I hadn't heard in a while was Connor Brogdon. I guess he pitched in Rancho. So that's somebody that I'm thinking this guy isn't going to be a Dodger very long either. I think they'll end up DFAing him. And then our favorite British guy, Michael Peterson, he's also on the 40-man, and I'm thinking that he's probably somebody that will probably get DFA'd. So potentially there's 2 spots. They need him for whatever reason on that 40-man. But besides that, like you said, it's you either somebody goes on the IL or I don't really see him DFAing guys like a Heyman or a Kiermaier or pretty much besides Nick Ahmed. I don't really see any other DFAs coming.
Right. I don't either. I just don't see the Dodgers. Like I said, I don't see they don't typically do that to their two veteran players. Nick Ahman is a veteran player, but I mean, he was more like a rental to fill up a space because the Dodgers were hurt in the infield, and he's been, historically he's been a good defensive player. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited tomorrow, man, to see the lineup tomorrow. See, hopefully Edmonds in the lineup, Muncy's in the lineup. I mean, I just want to see a whole new lineup, and like we were talking before, what is this team's identity, And I don't want them to be a boring team or just a passive team. I want them to be, I don't want to compare them to other teams, but I want them to be a more offensive team, and get some more runs, just like, because they do score a lot of runs. I think if we look at the stats on how many runs they score, they're top in the league. I'm sure they are, but we need for them to be more consistent, getting more runs throughout the game, not just early on in the game, but throughout the whole game. Like today, I mean, like I said, today was a pitcher's duel. They only scored in one inning, I think the fifth. And something we didn't touch on yet was, Ohtani. Ohtani's struggling pretty bad. And, he had 2 hits in the series, both home runs. But prior to, I haven't checked lately, but prior to that, he was batting like 136 in the last like 7 games, 178 in the last 15 games, and like 231 or something like that in the last 30 games. So, he's, you had mentioned it, or somebody had mentioned about that. His swing is too long. And I mean, this weekend shows you that that's exactly what it is. He's either getting out or he hits a home run. That was it. It's either strikeouts or a pop-up or whatever, or he's striking out. Or he's hitting a home run. And that's what we saw. He had 2 hits, both hits for a home run. So he's got to the Dodgers got to let him know, hey, we don't need a home run every time. Yeah, great. Yes, the fans love home runs, and it's he hits these majestic bombs, at Dodger Stadium, almost clearing the whole entire stadium, But we sometimes with the bases loaded, with runners on scoring, just get a single, or that's it. I mean, that's something that I don't know if they could tell Ohtani, and I don't know if he'll listen, but I think that's I think it's a little bit of concern to. I mean, for my opinion, it's concerning. I see Betts has come back; he's hit well. We see Freddie came back; he's hit well. Lux is on fire. Hernandez he did okay. I think he had the last 2 games kind of bad, but then they were righties, so I understand. But overall, the team is starting to hit, except right now, Ohtani is just like a big hit, and he misses, or it's a home run. That's it. That's like that's all we have from him right now.
So yeah, just the last thing on the roster crunch, just to keep in mind after tomorrow, Chris Taylor is going to be back as well. So I don't know if they're going to wait till September for him as well. But there's going to be something else is going to have to happen in that lineup. And, so like I said, maybe in September, but we'll see. But, getting back to what you're saying about Ohtani, I mean, it's incredible, with these slumps, these little mini slumps that he goes through. The guy's on the cusp of a 40-40 season, right? He could probably be there this next week. He is having one of the most dominant seasons, right, that we've seen from a baseball player. Now imagine if these little slumps that he goes through kind of weren't maybe as prolonged. Maybe if there were just a couple of days, right, and he snapped out of it, right, a couple of days and he snapped out of it. He's been a week or two right now in kind of one little mini slump. Now imagine if he wasn't, like I said, you got some more of those. I mean, he probably could have 50 home runs right now, right? I mean, so that's, if he gets out of those slumps, right, they don't obviously going in this last September kind of get him completely right, getting into October. And we don't even know what October is going to be like for him, right? Just now it's a difference in guys change. They change their approach. So we'll see what happens, going towards the end of the season, going into October, right? Because definitely you need Ohtani doing his thing in October, right? Just knocking in runs, getting on base, I think him stealing changes the whole dynamic, right? He gets on with a walk, whatever, single, right? Next thing you know, he's on second. He could get to third on a long out. So it totally changes the dynamic of that lineup. And getting somebody like Max Muncy, I thought that was a big loss not having Muncy. Yeah, Muncy's not your typical 300 hitter, but he would get you 25, 30 home runs. He knocks in about 80, 90 runs. And the thing for me is he extends that game for he makes that pitcher work, right? He isn't one of those guys that he might go up there and hack at the first pitch, whatever, he fouls it off or whatever, but he sees a decent amount of pitches. And I think that's something that you haven't heard a lot about that this year. Like, you hear it in years past, Dodgers make pitchers work, right? They make them work. They're in their fourth inning, fifth inning, right? And they're almost at 100 pitches. We haven't really heard a lot of that this season. And I think a lot of that has to do with Max Muncy.
Yeah, I mean, Max Muncy, we know that, a couple of years back, he was like leading the league in walks. He was taking a lot of walks, and he worked counts. He had a great eye for the strike zone. The last year or so, it's changed a little bit, but still, yeah, he definitely works the count. He definitely extends the lineup. I mean, if just tomorrow, if we'll see how it goes. But you're looking at Ohtani, Freeman, obviously. Betts, because Freeman's probably going to be out. So then, I like the Lux at batting third, which was cool. And you got Hernandez cleanup, and then Muncy fifth batter, because Muncy's usually been the fifth batter. So that's great right there. And then six, Pages, and so. And the rest of the lineup, I guess Edman would be like seventh, or maybe he'll be ninth. He'll be like the second leadoff hitter. We'll see where they put him. But it's like I said, I'm excited for tomorrow. I cannot wait to see that lineup, and I hope both those guys are in there. And yeah, we definitely like you were saying, we need Ohtani in October. He's got to do. Hopefully he starts to kind of understand that it's not just about hitting the long ball. It's about, getting the guys across, scoring some runs, because, so, he will definitely. Another thing you mentioned was, I think, yeah, you're right. He's so close to 40-40. I think he might get it by the end of this coming week. He's at 39 home runs. I'm sure he'll hit one home run this week, and he's three steals from 40. Like you said, every time he's on base, it's almost like it's a given that he's going to steal second base. And he's tagging up to third base on a long fly ball. So, and then it's an easy run from there with one out. So, that's what. Yeah, yes, I completely understand. Like, we kind of criticize him for the slump that he's in, but then you look at his like 40-40. It'll be the first time a Dodger has ever done a 40-40 season. So, and he's pushing 50-50. So, and it's a huge possibility. So, yeah. Maybe we're hard on him because we expect the world of him because of how much he's getting paid and everything that we had heard before he came to the Dodgers. But, he is having, statistically, when you look at his numbers, he is having a good season. I think maybe as Dodger fans, we just want a little more. Maybe just fine. We want home runs, but we want some singles, Yeah.
And I want to see, we didn't get to see that lineup as kind of we all saw it in our minds, right? Like how it's projected to be, right? You had Ohtani in there, you had Betts in there, you had Freeman in there, right? You had Muncy. Muncy's been out a good chunk, right? Freeman was out some time, Mookie was out some time. So, and now that Muncy's coming back, Freeman might be out, another week. So we still kind of don't see that line because I think, the way the Dodgers have played, we've discussed, like, they haven't been that consistent, right? You go back a couple months, kind of like 500 ball, right? But they've been dealing with tons of injuries. I think we want to see, like, everybody in there because we haven't seen, I was expecting, hey, this lineup, they're going to probably run off, like, 10-game winning streaks, 11-game winning streaks, 12-game winning streaks, right? They haven't done that. And, I still want to see it, especially, get hot in September, right? You win, out of 20 games, you win like 15 of them, whatever, in September, right? I know this team is capable of doing that, but you got to get all these guys in there and gelling right at the same time. But it still seems like could be possibly maybe another week away, right? If Freeman goes out on the IL. But, that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because, we haven't talked about it much here today, but, the D-backs have been hot. Padres have been hot. But they both ended up losing their series this weekend, which was great, right? The Rays swept the D-backs, and the Rockies, of all people, right? They win a series against the Padres. that kind of seems like a mismatch. But if you go back and look, I think they played 12 games. The Rockies have won 8 of those this year. So Rockies play the Padres pretty good. And I kind of was expecting to see that this weekend, and the Rockies ended up doing that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, we had mentioned that, the Diamondbacks and the Padres were playing like lights out. I mean, they're playing the best baseball in all of MLB. And I said that they couldn't sustain it, and you can't. It's too early right now. Well, at least last week, we were in the middle of August, to play a month and a half and just keep playing the way they were playing, because they had been playing like that since the All-Star break. So they had the first. So before the 2 games in Milwaukee, before they lost those 2 games, the top 3 teams, the best record in the MLB after the All-Star break was 1, the Diamondbacks, 2, the Padres, and the Dodgers at 3. So the Dodgers were playing well until they lost those 2 games. But, like I said, you can't sustain it, and it showed. Diamondbacks go to Tampa Bay, they get swept. So, and like you just mentioned, the Padres go to Colorado, they lose 2 out of 3. I mean, Colorado is a hard place to play. They do play, they play each other all the time, so they know each other well. So, with that being said, it's going to be exciting. Like you were saying earlier, was the lineup that we all anticipated. I mean, how many games have they played like that? Where Freeman's there, Muncy's there. It's not that many. And, hope, like you said, now Muncy's back and Freeman's out because he's hurt. But hopefully everybody will be back at some point in September, and we'll have the full squad, and everybody will be healthy, and we can go in that run. Because just like you said, I also thought that at one point this season, the Dodgers would have won 15 games in a row. I thought that was my prediction. I thought they would have won 15 games in a row with this lineup, with this type of team. It didn't happen, but that's okay. I think if everybody's healthy come like the second week of September, and we have this lineup where everybody's in the lineup, and we start, getting the role and having good chemistry as a team, then we're looking good for October. And that's really why we're here, why they play. They're playing because we're going to have a good season and be ready for October. And hopefully that's what will happen by the second week of September. The whole entire squad will be there, and we start playing well.
Yeah, and after the off season, right, that they had, everybody's anticipating, this team is going to blow the doors off, right, of another 100+ season. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to get to 100 this year. I mean, but if you look at all of baseball, I don't think there's going to be any team that gets to 100. And if there is, they might be 100, maybe win 100, 101. Dodgers they're tied for the most wins in baseball right now with 73. There's 4 teams with 73 wins. Couple with 72, couple with 70, right? So, and there's only 37 games left, around there. So you figure I'm figuring the Dodgers are probably going to win about 95, 96, probably in that neighborhood, unless they go on a really torrid pace, right? In September, they get all their guys back and they go off they get one of those streaks, right? 12, 13, 14 games in a row. Then now, definitely 100's a possibility, but I mean, I don't really care, right? If they get, we've said this all along. Who cares, right? If they get the 100, right? They need those wins in October, right? The wins that come in October, that's all they need. Who cares about the 100? But yeah, I mean, it's been a strange season. Like I said, there was a time in this season, right, where the Phillies were just going off, right? And they were like, the Phillies can't be stopped. Phillies are going to be that team all the way, and they've hit a lot of struggles, right? Same thing with the Yankees. The Yankees did the same thing. They were going off. Yankees are the team now.
Yeah,
and they struggled. So it's been an odd season, to say the least, right? I mean, I think the Dodgers, right, have struggled, but definitely I think nobody was able to foresee all those injuries that they were going to have. And, like I said, I want to see them healthy and completely healthy, where they can play a long stretch completely healthy, because we haven't seen that. And that's kind of what I want to see down the stretch.
I mean, it's true. I mean, they have, I don't know how they stack up to other teams, but it just seems like every game, we had someone in the IL throughout the whole season. So like I just said before, if the second week of September, we can have a full squad and Muncy and Freeman are in the lineup at the same time, and we got Ohtani Betts and Hernandez, and now we added Edman and Pages, who's surprised pretty much everybody. I mean, that's a stacked team, and we can only hope that they score a lot of runs with that team, and yeah, maybe they do go in that. If there's about 37 games left, maybe they go into that 27-10 run to finish the season, and they get to 100 wins. Like you said too, I don't think it's important if they get to 100. It would be nice just to keep that streak, but it doesn't matter. What matters is winning the 3 games in the first series and the next 4. So 11 games. That's all that counts. 11 games in October, and that's more important than 100 victories in the regular season. So, this coming homestand, I think it's gonna be tough. But I think if we can go 7-2 in this homestand, I think that's a good sign. Even 6-3, if we can win every series 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, I think we're good where we're at. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be this week's going to be fun. I enjoy we were talking about the competition the Dodgers are playing. I think that is great. I think that they should play harder teams. We got the Orioles, the Mariners are in it for the playoffs too. They have a chance. Tampa Bay just swept the Diamondbacks, so they're playing well. The Orioles, we already know about the Orioles and their team. So I like that they're playing good teams at this time because it makes them lift up their, pick up their game. And so we want to have competition. And so, like I said, I'm excited about this homestand and see how we do.
Yeah. I mean, looking at this next homestand, right, they got the Mariners coming in, then the Rays, then the Orioles. So Orioles are right up there. They're one of those teams, right, that I mentioned, 73 wins. So they're right at the top of their division. The Mariners, I believe, I haven't checked, but I know they're battling for the wild card at least, right? Or I don't even know if they're in the wild card spot. And then after that, they go down to Arizona. So they're gonna have a series with Arizona, and then they have a series with the Angels, and then they get the Guardians. Well, the Guardians are on top of their division as well. So not the easiest stretch by far. To close out the rest of the year, it's going to be pretty tough. But I do believe that when the Dodgers play tougher competition, it kind of brings out the best in them as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they go down the stretch. But like I mentioned, coming in tomorrow, the Mariners are in town, and Justin Turner will actually be back for the first time since he ended up going to Boston. Then he signs with the Blue Jays, and then now he gets traded to the Mariners, and just in time for them to come to LA. So what do you expect from Justin Turner, coming back to LA, the emotions that are going to be for him, and kind of the emotions for the fans seeing him for the first time?
So Justin Turner is one of those guys that definitely, he was a fan favorite. He was great for the community. He did a lot for the community with his Turner Trot, I think it was called. He's I definitely, when he comes up to bat for the first time at Dodger Stadium tomorrow, since he was let go, I definitely a standing ovation. I'll definitely be one of, I'll be up there clapping for him too, because I like the guy. I think he didn't leave because he wanted to leave. I think it's just Dodgers didn't want to re-sign him, and rightfully so. I mean, we have a DH, in Ohtani, and there's no need for him, to bring him back and stuff. So, I think it's exciting to have him back. I think it's cool. I think he'll probably at least get one home run against the Dodgers in the series. I think he'll hit well actually against the Dodgers. So, but it'll be cool. I think, that's another thing. This whole series, man, this homestand coming up, there's a lot of added little features, with Dodgers, who they're playing, who's coming back, the giveaways. It's this whole this coming weekend. Also, next weekend, it's this whole thing about the Lakers, and I think they're giving them. I think it's a Kobe jersey on Sunday. They're giving the Dodger Lakers shirt, the Showtime Lakers. So it's kind of cool. Kind of a lot of stuff happening at Dodger Stadium this coming week, and I'm excited. I can't wait for this whole homestand.
Yeah, we've had a lot of guys that were part of this team or the past couple of seasons. Obviously the championship teams come back. Guys like Jock and Kenley and Corey. But I honestly feel tomorrow with Justin Turner coming back, I honestly feel that's going to be even bigger than those other guys. Not taking away anything away from those guys what they did for LA, but I think Justin Turner was just a different person for LA. I mean, this guy was LA. Like, he was like the heart and soul, I believe, of this, past Dodgers teams. He was that dude. He was just a leader on and off the field, like you mentioned, in the community. And when he left to Boston, it was a big hit, right? I think to a lot of fans, like, oh, this guy's not part of, he wanted to be, he wanted to come back, but it's a baseball thing. Sometimes things don't work out. So I think it's going to be a special day for him to come back. A couple of days, in LA. And I'm looking forward to it. I think, like I said, it's going to hit different than some of those other ones. And I'm looking forward to seeing Justin. He's going to speak to the media tomorrow before the game. Unfortunately, we won't be there for that, but we'll see him on Tuesday. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he says. Coming back to LA for the first time since he was gone. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a special moment. But I think that's going to wrap it up. I believe we got to I think the biggest thing, like we mentioned, coming up is going to be this roster crunch and going down this stretch. Is there anything that we forgot to add, Carlos?
No, I think we added everything. I did want to end it with one thing since we talked about Justin Turner. Can you share your favorite Justin Turner Dodger moment?
Oh man, I mean, you see that. I saw one today earlier on Twitter. Somebody retweeted like his tribute video, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, this guy, like I said, he did so much just, for the community and just on the field, right? He, you look back, his walk off, in the NLCS, right? The big home runs that he had prior in playoffs, right? From a guy that, they just kind of picked him up, like, hey, we need help. Let's pick up this dude, right? And he ends up playing, all this, becoming, like I said, becoming a leader of this team. But yeah, I think just the playoff home runs, I think are kind of the biggest that stand out for me. Just the big hits, right? He'd come up with big hits. He had in Washington against the Brewers, against the Cubs in that series.
The Cubs, yeah.
And we did have him on the podcast one time a couple years ago. It was after. I forgot her name's. I think it's Annabelle. It's this older lady. She had like white curly hair. I don't know if you saw that. She threw out the first pitch at one of the games, and we had him on talking about that. And he just told like the story of like, the way she came up to him and like she grabbed his beard and like she was caressing his face, and he was kind of just going over that story with us, and we were just laughing, like just. I mean, just like I said, just the person that Justin Turner is, just so down to earth, just incredible player for the Dodgers. Definitely think if they ever go that route to like retire 10, I mean, I think he's definitely got to be considered as well. Obviously, for Ron said like a double retirement for that number. I know, now we're getting into that weird territory, right? Yes, he's not a Hall of Famer, right? But kind of when you look at what he did for the city and the team, right? So that's kind of like where I look at it. Like, yeah, definitely you can bring up that conversation with him because of what he did, the importance of kind of who his character was. What about you, Carlos?
No, I mean that's cool. The story you shared, I think that was nice. I mean the home run definitely, the against the Cubs where he has his arms raised, which they eventually made a bobblehead of that hit. I like the one that stands out to me is the tag play in the World Series when he literally flies in the air, full extension, tags him, and then I think he throws it to third base after the tag. So, I mean that one to me was like, wow, that was incredible. So that one stands out. But the story you shared about the lady throwing the first pitch, that was cool. I personally didn't know about that story. So yeah. So like I said, like you were saying, Justin Turner is like how Joe Kelly has become this like this hero to Dodger fans. I think before Joe Kelly, there was Justin Turner. And I think Justin Turner kind of like, he had that persona where, he was just the Dodger. He was a Dodger favorite, and it was sad when he didn't get re-signed, but, like you said, it's baseball, it's a business, and there's no spot for him. He just wasn't playing, I guess, because of his injuries. He wasn't playing third base as well anymore. And at that time, I think they got JD Martinez for DH and so forth. But yeah, no, it's definitely for Justin Turner. He's a good guy. I remember one personal story for me, at least. I remember when he first got to the Dodgers. My son at the time was like 13 years old. He was little. He was like 12, 13, and he brought his baseball card, his rookie card, and Justin Turner was taking ground balls, and he literally from third base he ran over to the side to he signed the autograph, signed his card, and then he went back and took some more ground balls. So that was early on in his career, and that's what I remember. And ever since then, he's been like a stand-up guy, and like I said previously, the work that he's done for the community, for LA, has been him and his wife. I take my hat off, and it's cool. Like I said, I'll be up there. I'll be there tomorrow, applauding when he walks into the batter's box.
Yeah, and speaking of signing autographs, when I'd go to Arizona and I'd see him there signing, he's one of those guys. There's a couple guys, but it's kind of few guys that will actually, when they come out, they'll come out and they'll sign. They'll hit a couple kids or people that are out there, and they go back into their training facilities. But Justin Turner is one of those guys that he would come out and he'd literally hit every single person like that was in that lined up right there, by the gates there, fences. He'd hit every single person. He'd go from side to side, hit every single person, and then he'd go back inside to end his day. So definitely stand-up character, stand-up dude, Justin Turner, and it'd be great. Like you said, it would be great to see him back, in LA for a couple of days starting tomorrow. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode, and we'll have another live this week on Thursday. So make sure you guys check that out. Kind of just we'll see where we're at on Thursday. I mean, hopefully it's a couple more wins for from the Mariners series here, and everybody's getting healthy. That's kind of what we're looking forward to for this Thursday. But once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
This episode has been brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here.